Hello everyone, Solo Invictus here. Today I'm bringing you a nice battle in between Iceni and Nervii. I will be using the Iceni. So I was playing against a guy against whom I played quite a lot of battles recently. I like playing with him because he always goes for unorthodox build. He knows my playstyle a bit and therefore he adjusts to it. And that's it. I believe I had pick Iceni and he countered with Nervii. Perhaps it was the contrary, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went. And before I start going over the build, I will just mention that I'll be leaving my Rome 2 related email address for you guys to send replays. So if you have a quality replay, it has to be something exciting, please. I don't want to see no 8 Evocati spam and stuff like that unless you're defeating such a build. So yeah, send me good stuff if you want. So the address is gonna be down there in the bio. That being said, also I'd like to thank you guys. I received 100 views on the last video in one day, so yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. Obviously I'm not doing this for the fame, I'm doing this to share my love of the game, and it's nice to know that some people appreciate that, and sometimes we're too busy to play the game, and just watching a replay online get your dose of Rome 2. So if that's the case, I say thank you for watching the video, and I'm glad if you're enjoying the stuff that you're seeing. So yes, I'll go over his build. Like I was saying, this guy always go for unorthodox build, and we're gonna see that right there. It's actually a decent counter to Iceni, at least my Iceni, and we'll go over that just now. So he went for Galley counters. Normally when I see somebody bringing Galley counters, I'm thinking, well, he's a noob. And it's probably the right way of approaching it, but playing this guy a few times, I know he's not a noob. So in my humble opinion, the reason he picked the Gallic was to counter my, what's the name of that unit? Painted ones, which have 10 armor. No, yeah, 10 armor, very flimsy. I always bring quite a lot of them, so I would assume it was to counter them. His Celtic slingers were probably to counter my own slingers if I was to bring some. Heavy horse, excellent choice versus Iceni. It will be stronger than any cavalry I can field. Also, it's perfect for blunted charges. Decent armor, therefore it's a nice reliable cav unit. Scout riders, because they're so fucking cool. With that, there's gonna be Fierce Sword. So Fierce Sword have very nice moral, low armor, very good charge. So a very deadly unit, and honestly versus Iceni, probably a right pick. We will see no Oathsworns, which is interesting, which is why I like playing with this guy. There's gonna be a noble horse general, which could be deadly versus Iceni really, and there's gonna be a guerrilla swordsman. So yeah, a nice a nice interesting build. For my build, I went for my classic Iceni, so this is going to be game 2 of Iceni Faction Focus. This one, the highlight of the game is going to be Chariots, so we'll be following these mainly throughout the battlefield, as well as covering the rest, obviously. But interesting result from the Chariots. So ever since the new patch, obviously you cannot spread them into spaghetti formation, which makes them a bit harder to use, mainly due to the fact that they're going to be much more susceptible to precursors, because they're stacked in a solid formation. Also, it's going to be a bit harder for them to just roll like butters into the enemy line. Still a reliable unit, you just have to respect some rules if you want to use them, and I will cover a bit of that in that battle. So for my build, it's going to be a 3-part build. So the first wing is going to be Levy Freeman, supported by Cav, Chosen Swordband, as well as Painted One. So that's going to be the wing on which I try to use my Chariot. The other side is going to be slightly stronger because there's 2 painted ones. So a bit more shock value on the other side. Reason being is that the Chariots are meant to be deployed on the left side if possible. There's going to be 1 ambusher, just for the sake of it. So 2 unorthodox build, facing each other. And yeah, let's watch that replay. Let me find it. I believe I called it Iceni Char, indeed I did. So yeah, that's it. Please send me replays, guys. I don't have necessarily a lot of time to do live commentary and all that, so it's always nice to see stuff from the viewers, for sure. Also, if you like the video, please give me a like. It's always a good boost for the moral. it let me know that it's worth it. You know, it's not about getting a lot of them. It's just a ratio per view that makes me happy, basically. Okie dokie, so let's see how this guy deploys his army. So as you're gonna see very often in Rome 2 nowadays, there's not much of a meat shield in front. Reason being is that they cannot be spreaded as thinly as they used to be, therefore they're a bit less efficient, and you kind of have to use meat shield in different manner. So the way he's gonna do it is that each of his melee unit is gonna have a cav support to blunt the initial charge. Which is probably paying off often in the games he plays, considering that a lot of people no longer have spear in front, it's just a sword spam, and therefore having the mighty horse to do that is a great choice. Perhaps he was expecting some of those, not Celtic warriors, but equivalent, sword band for Iceni, and that's why he went for that kind of a blunting force. So I'll try to keep space to see how I try to use this build. He's going to be quite a nuisance with his Germanic Scout Riders. This guy is good with his cavalry, sorry, Scout Riders or Jav Cav or Archers. Very good with them. So obviously when I see this build, I like what I'm seeing due to the fact that I do have the Levy Freeman ready to counter them. Also his wings are going to be a bit weaker than my wings. As per my center has absolutely no melee units. So the trick you're gonna want to do when using Iceni Chariots, obviously, is to at all costs stay away from precursors, and precursors in particular. Like even if there's a two-arrow spear, the right way to counter the Iceni Chariot is to click attack order and click on them, so all the jav are being thrown at once, and that's how you're gonna get maximum damage on these units. Ambushers, not in the spot they want to be. These guys are gonna be used hopefully late game. I find it hard to keep them until late game, especially in that build, considering there's nothing in the middle, so at one point they're just forced to engage. Good job by him there. You're gonna see maneuvering wise, he's good. He's gonna line up with me at all costs, which is a proper thing to do. And in this battle, he's actually gonna use his Mighty Horse very well. He's gonna be able to blunt so many of my charge, which is a big plus for him. Classic maneuver, when the Germanic Scout are in the back or any type of Horse Archers unit, you're going to want to send, well, at least that's what I do, send your Veteran on the flank and then send in your Briton Scout Riders to chase them. When you do that, though, your middle is no longer able to... oh, okay, no, that's a loss from the Germanic Scout. But yeah, when you do that, though, your Briton Scout Riders are no longer able to support your Chariots. So the reason we have, I got lucky there, popped Fancy Charge and was able to catch him. The reason we have Scout Riders is going to be because they're very fast and therefore they work well with the Iceni Chariots. They're going to be a meat shield unit, so it's about pinning down the closest unit to your Chariots and therefore negate their precursors. A bit of a skirmishing phase, as any good battle should have. Veteran Rider are very tired at that point. I tried to catch up with his Germanic Scout, did not work. Gotta be careful here. My back is on the red line and therefore I can no longer back off. I like to have, what's the name of that general? Is it Strategist? Yeah, I believe it's Strategist. And therefore, whenever you use Fancy Chart with your Veteran Rider for chasing maneuver, you just right away put them back on in a better stance. So it's going to be about dragging the fight to a flank, and it's about spreading his unit, trying to create poor engagement, obviously, for him, and so that he has no precursors ready to use. I still gotta be very careful, because his Mighty Horse can damage any of my sword units. So at this point, I'll force the engagement. Whoop-a-lie. At this point, you force the engagement. Fierce Sword without much of an armor took that one right to the butt. And if you look at it, so that's gonna be the problem with builds that do not have multi-layers, is going to be that there are no longer any precursors ready to be fired. Keep that in mind. Very good move by him there, using his mighty horse as they should be used. He's gonna charge into the painted one, which is gonna be extremely deadly for them. Wrecked. Not the best charge, but you're still gonna see a lot of kills. Now keep in mind the mighty horse has 60 armor. The reason I'm gonna say that is that those chariots are about to get a very nice amount of kill on cavalry. On this side, I'm being fired into oblivion. My meat shield is gone. We need a meat shield in order to accept those engagement versus the fierce sword. So be careful when you use your chariot. Obviously, less missile the better. And in that instance, all of his troops were pinned down. Therefore, you can send in the chariots, and we'll see them gathering a good amount of kill. And most of them were actually against cavalry. Look at that. The cavalry is getting absolutely shredded by the chariots. I thought this was very, very, very interesting. So chariots can be used as a relatively light armored cav counter. The way you want to use those Iceni charge, especially chariots, especially since the newest patch, is going to be on the flanks, far away from the missiles. Don't send them middle. It's a waste of your money. It's a waste of your time. And before engaging, obviously, with the chariots, you need to have a very good foundation. So all the engagement must be already happening. You must have your attack orders already given, because the micro on these chariots, it's non-stop. You gotta non-stop move them, otherwise they melt. So that's the only way you can use them, really. It's you gotta spam it. I mean, it's spam the movement order. It's not an attack order. It's a dragging order behind the enemy units. We'll get another good example of how well they fare against cavalry. So on this side, I was able to catch his fierce sword with my ambushers. He did a very nice move, by the way, which is Scout Rider, which we did not see, but was rear charging my ambushers. So yeah, light cav stands no chance, obviously, versus the chariots. They're off the battlefield. And it's going to be about dragging and dragging and dragging. We'll go back to the kills after. They're at 96 at that point. So let's see. That was a guerrilla. I'm sure he wished he had a fierce sword instead there. The guerrilla will not fare well against a painted one. These fierce sword got a charge into the chosen swordman without being countered. And the chosens are dropping. Now we've been able to drag our chariots through that formation and right into the galley counter. So whenever you face Iceni and the end of a player that you know is not just going to go for heroic nobles and such, make sure you keep a spear late game protecting your skirmishers. If those skirmishers were not dying just yet, they could be a big problem for my army. So yeah, chariots still work. And this is not just a stroke of luck. I've been using this tactic quite often recently in Rome 2, after the patch, in the days that just followed. And yeah, no, they work. They work. You can still get a huge amount of kill. So that's it. You gotta use them on the flanks. Make sure that there's no precursors. So you need those cav units to sacrifice, pin down enemy units, and therefore the precursors cannot be thrown. 300 kill. That's quite impressive. At this point is Noble Horse gathering a fair amount of kill, not enough whatsoever, generals dying, and there's going to be no support for those missile units. So that's going to be a GG, 32 seconds left. Yeah, so if you want to try Chariots, just keep in mind what I said there. It's good information for a Chariots lover. We should all be Chariots lovers, really. They're such a nice unit, and that's it. The trick is just keep them moving, keep them moving. I've got another good replay where I actually use it versus Pontus, but the Chariots are also a nice unit to counter the enemy missiles unit. Now, of course, it's a bit risky. You need to make sure that cavalry of the opponent is engaged pretty much everywhere before you pull that move. But yeah, you can use these as a missile counter as well against Eastern factions. It's risky though. it's risky versus a very good player. Forget about it. Painted ones doing fantastic. This one not so much. So that's going to be on the flank that the chariots were maneuvering. And you can see just the disruption allowed those chosen swords to do fantastic. On the other side, I would say he got the better of me, at the exception of this painted one. Ambushers getting absolutely wrecked by a combination of as a mercenary scout, and I believe it was one fierce sword. Levy Freeman doing their best. Chariots 361 kill. I would say I averaged 200 kill with them. That was an exception. What made this possible is when you play with somebody who doesn't have multi-layers, it's just one long line, which happens often nowadays. Fierce Sword, two of them doing good, the other not so well, and then again 102 is not the best. Is Gallic Hunter getting a fair amount of kill? I got a feeling they could have fared even better if he had perhaps a bit more Levy Freeman. Perhaps cancel one Mighty Horse, let goes of the Slinger, and then more Spears. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this battle, and yeah, Sol Invictus signing off. Thank you all for listening.